So we are here. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Lesedi Ali, and welcome to Where the Light in Me honors the light in you. So I want to start off by sharing a very short story before diving into the material today. When I have been doing my readings, speaking into people's lives, advising, doing the videos that I was doing in the past, one of my very, 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 very favorite cousins, shout out to BK, um, said something that really struck a chord with me. He was looking at some of my content here and there just to be supportive, and he said to me one day, my family calls me Tati. He says, Tati, uh, the people that you help, the people that you must speak to, like they must really have a lot going on in their lives. Like they seem like they might have some really serious problems. And I paused for a second, and it kind of hurt my heart when he said that. But I just said very plainly, well, I have had some really serious issues going on in my life too. So, I mean, it would only make sense that the people that I'm speaking to have come from very traumatic or serious issues. I mean, it just is what it is. And he says that, well, I always just look at, well, if they're not doing anything in my life, then I'm not worried about them. If, it's not this way, then, I really don't care. And, I appreciate his honesty about that, because for some people, it really is just that simple. If, you think to yourself, well, they're not paying my bills, I don't have to be worried about what they say. They're not living my life. Why am I worried about what they care, how they think about me? Because in a lot of ways, we give people way too much power over our reality. However, for many of us, that power was given over a long, long time ago. I don't care if you come to me or the next, advisor, counselor, coach, but for many of us, when you come from trauma from a very young age, they say the first 5 years of your life set almost in stone the blueprint, or the makings of the rest of your life. And when you have traumatic experience after the next, after the next, after the next, really influencing someone else's or everyone else's influence on your life, just igniting that and feeding that, it's so much harder for you to change your reality for the better, and for you to see that things really can be different in your reality. And for me, that's what drives me at the end of the day. That's what motivates me to speak up and to speak out about the things that have gone on in my reality, and how I have had to work so hard to not only reshape the way that I see things, but then echo that vibration out to my reality and with my higher power, so that I can see the results physically as well. This is by no means an easy process for so many of us. And that's what people like me are here for. We want to hold your hand. We want to help you get to the next stage, the next piece of the puzzle. And even myself, I have to go to somebody too, because sometimes I need my hand to be held, and that's okay. It's a beautiful part of the connectivity that we all share. So I wanted to share that with you first and foremost, just so you know where it is that I speak from. Without further ado, I really want to dive into the material that I wanted to share with you today. And it very much echoes a very, very common, familiar phrase. If you have not heard it already, it is be here now. The only way to stop living in the past, whether it's yesterday, your childhood, your last relationship, is to be present. You can't do anything about the rearview mirror. You can only do something about your now, so that it affects your future. That's one. So, in many ways, I like to visualize, what that feels like and looks like and is like for me. That being, my future. And I can see where for so many people, visualizing something is really hard. I can walk you through the most beautiful, peaceful meditation, but you won't feel peace because you can't visualize it. I can walk you through, the steps in a goal, and, talk about how I can see you here and I can see you there, and do you see it for yourself? no, Lesedi, I don't see anything. Like it's a blank screen in my head. It's the yelling, from my parents. It's the yelling from my past relationships. It's the stress of my work or my job. It's the burden I have on me from my children or my family members, whatever. These things echo so much louder than your own heart's desires, than your own internal frequency. And you'll hear me reference your frequency, your vibration often. Okay, and you can do your research about this. I'm not with all that hocus pocus, right? It really is. Everything is a frequency. Everything is a vibration. The body is made up of water, and water receives energy. Energy is all around us, from the earth to the trees to the lights to the Wi-Fi. Okay, it's all energy and it's all information. Now, going back to being here now and meditation or visualization, think about the basics for a moment. The basics for meditation would be your imagination, right? How you visualize what's going on, getting vivid pictures, and then feeling something. Feelings are fuel. All right, your emotions are the biggest ticket to the next phase. Let's say, for example, when you're in a depressive state, you're sad, you're lonely, you're upset, you're frustrated, and then everything around you seems to be going wrong, right? You can't seem to catch a break. And this is the only energy that you are fixated on. And so everything in your reality echoes that vibration. And it's so much harder in your mind to visualize anything outside of the anger, the frustration, the sadness. Negative, positive regard. It's a very basic principle in psychology where if you're feeling bad, everything you see is only the bad. When you're feeling good, most of what you see is good. And it takes work and effort and energy to kind of shift from one end of that polarity to the other. So in being here now, let's say, the day does start off bad. My alarm clock doesn't go off and I'm rushing out of the door or what have you. It's your job to take control and make that day good. Oh man, I just didn't get up. You're feeding that negative energy when you start going on and on about that. Instead, change your words. Instead, change what you're focusing on. I'm gonna get out of the door. For all I know, there was probably an accident up the road. I'm gonna be late. It's okay. Not saying don't care about what it is you have to move into for the next thing. Definitely care, but you're gonna get there when you get there. When you rush, you've got your anxiety up, you've got your heart rate up, you got your blood pressure up, you don't see the next person in the street when you're pulling out of the driveway, you might spill your coffee on yourself, all because you're anxious and upset about not getting up on time. One thing should not have that much power over your reality, just like one person should not have that much power over your reality. That brings me to my next point, the emotional part of this. When you're feeling all those things you're feeling, like I said, it echoes into everything else. So let's say you take control of that. I'm gonna have me a nice cup of coffee before I step out this door and just get myself right. I'm gonna sit down and take a breath, as I sit up instead of getting frantic. I'm going to say hi to my neighbor and put a smile on my face. I'm gonna choose to think about the good things that might come out of this day instead of focusing on the bad things, right? And then you change your emotional state. You could also say maybe reflect on, maybe the night before was a really good night. You stayed up talking all night with friends and connecting, and that was really great energy. And maybe that's why you woke up late. Whatever, that's okay. You really had a really, really good night the night before. That energy is still great energy. It doesn't mean that you did anything bad or wrong. Maybe you could have gone to bed a little bit earlier. Okay, fine, whatever. The job is still going to be there. Your life is still going to be in order. But you had really great positive energy that you can feed on from the day before or just those hours before. You also can take into account now the imagination, right? So do you have a good imagination? Like when's the last time you really laughed about something in your head or, visualized something that was really, really interesting or cool or allowed your daydream to just, float off, right? So I bring up the imagination because everything that goes on in your imagination, in your mind's eye, definitely affects how you're feeling. There are more brain connective, information, nerves, more nerves going from the heart to the brain than there are to the brain, from the brain to the heart, which tells me that however my heart is feeling, it helps my brain to move in the right way, okay, or in that way, whatever it is I'm feeling. So if you don't have a good imagination, I definitely want to encourage you to watch cartoons. Like, I watch a lot of cartoons. I choose what I put on the television, and usually it's information, it's something funny, it's something heartwarming and full of life and energy. The crazy thing about that, though, is that when I was younger, I used to look at the really nice endings and really great shows and movies with their happiness and their joy and their peace and their heroes with resentment. I felt like my life could never be that happy. It's just a movie. Or there are people in the world that really do get to experience that, but I'm not one of them. And the sadness and the fear, the anger, it would just well up inside of me. But on the opposite end of that polarity, because I have actually really worked to not focus so much on what I don't have, but what I do have, I now can look at those movies as inspiration. I can now look at those imaginative instances as fuel for my own fire. What would it be like to really have friends that really supported me that way? What would it really be like to have like-minded people in my reality to where I didn't feel like a weirdo or a crazy person? What would it really feel like to have someone support me and love me exactly the way that I am, flaws and all? You don't learn anything without going through some things, and that's okay. What would it be like to be around people like that all the time? So instead of missing something that I've never had, I start to love something that I know I can have. And that changes everything in your mind's eye. You can maybe imagine or visualize those cartoons, those movies, those endings, and just put yourself in them. Borrow their imagination for a short period of time while you are developing your own. And being able to visualize and imagine these things helps you to get a better picture of the next things to come. I remember, thinking about meditation is like this altruistic or this intangible thing, very much like I viewed God for a long time. Like, I know you're there, but what the what, bro? I don't, my life sucks. Where you at? What's going on, right? Um, so when I started to be able to imagine and visualize things a little bit more clear, I started to be able to meditate a little bit better, like it was a real thing. So let's say, you could use pictures to fixate your attention. You could use songs to fixate your attention. You could use colors to fixate your attention. But whatever it is you can visualize in your mind's eye, you do that. For me, it was, picturing a rose at my desk at work. I worked in a cubicle for a little while, right? And I put a picture of a rose on my desk, and I would just focus on that rose, while I was waiting for phone calls to come in. And anytime my mind would go off into the fear or the rage or the frustration that I was literally going through every day outside of work and outside of the people that I tried to keep a normal face on for, my mind would want to drift off to those things, those painful traumas and painful experiences. But I'd be like, no, no, no. I have to be here, and I'm looking at this rose. That was then. I'm looking at this rose. Oh, but you got to get on the bus, and you got to do this, and no. I'm gonna focus on this rose. And soon enough, focusing on the rose in my now, I could focus on my rose at any time in the day when my mind would go off into the negative talk or the self-pity or the woes and the irritations and frustrations of my day. And, then that grew to the next part where I was so pent up with this horrible energy. And I remembered always feeling it, but it was just at its peak at this time in my life, right? I was on medication and talking to therapists and, trying to get my friends to understand where I was, at least the friends that I kept, around, right? And I remember, kind of trying to pull it up from my feet and pull it up from my knees and pull it up into my chest and in my heart and just push it all out of my head. So my imagination kind of grew into feeling what was going on in my body and then doing something with that energy. And these were things that just kind of came with time, because my awareness, would start pulling in solutions and answers because I was no longer fixated on the issues and the problems, but the solutions. So I want to strongly encourage you to be in your now, to recognize that your past does not have to always define your now, thereby not defining your future. Okay, there is a way out. There is a way to break the cycle. There is a way to move forward in a way that nobody else in your family, nobody else in your reality has ever done. Maybe they look happy. You don't know what's really going on inside of them. Stop worrying about them. Think about you and where you are and how you're going to get out of where you are to where you want to be. Okay? You can only do that by being you, the best you can be in the now that you have. And recognize that you got through all those things for a reason. You're here for a reason. You could have been in somebody's hospital. You could have been on somebody's medication forever. You could have taken your life. Somebody else could have taken your life. Anything could have happened to you in a world of limitless possibilities. If it was really that bad, you would not be here. Period. Okay? Take that and start imagining a better situation. Borrow the writer's story. Borrow the cartoon's narrative. Borrow those bright colors and vivid pictures that you put on your screen. Put something else on your screen, please. It's the best decision you can make for yourself today, so that you can start putting these things in your head on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a minute to second basis, okay? And then they will start to help you feel emotionally different. You can take back control of how you're feeling. Now, talking about your emotions being fuel, I'm going to make this part, really quick. Gratitude, peace, joy, love, happiness, anything that's on the opposite end of the negative vibration is huge in your frequency. Anytime you express gratitude, your ancestors, your guardian angels, your Most High God, everyone starts to conspire with you so that you are feeling more of that gratitude. Gratitude is just as good, if not better, than praise. That's exactly what that energy is. It's thankfulness. It's excitement about the now. I'm sure you have one thing that you can be excited about, one thing that you can be grateful for. Okay? The sun is beautiful. These trees are giving me air. That person's dress is just amazing, and I want to dress like that one day. I'm breathing. My children are healthy. My whatever. Find gratitude in that. Okay? And then I want to give you a charge that was so awesome for me, was to express that gratitude. Just give it out, give it out, give it out. The first thing you should be grateful for when you wake up every morning is life, the universe, God, creation, whatever you call your divine. Being grateful for that, because it's like a whole construct put together for you, literally. You're not here alone. You have a whole army behind you, with you, and within you. And secondly, should be you. Duh. This avatar is bomb today, okay? My spirit is on 10 today, okay? Being grateful for you and how far you've come and the things that you've seen, the things that you've done. You're amazing, right? And then 5 more. So that gives you 7 people, 7 energies just to be grateful for throughout your day. Compliment someone silently, bless someone silently, actually speak up on it if you can. Project that energy out. And take notice. See what may look, feel, or be different in your reality, in your now. All right? I'm definitely interested to see what that is for you. So definitely comment below, like and share this video if you found it helpful. And definitely just continue to grow and be grateful. Okay, so this is Lesedi Ali. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Mwah. Namaste.